Hey folks, Ted from Nerd Immersion here. No real bit or anything. I just wanted to give you some D&D news in the form of a quick video update. So for those of you who don't know, there's a new head of the D&D RPG team, and this is Ray Winninger. And you can see the article right here. Mike Mearls no longer works on Dungeons & Dragons, the RPG at all. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But people have been wondering where Mike Mearls has gone for quite some time, which is true. It seems that he's not been working on the D&D tabletop RPG since sometime last year, and the new head of the team and executive producer is Ray Winninger, pictured here. He's an RPG veteran, amongst other things. He was a co-designer of DC Heroes and Tor. He wrote the Dungeon Craft column for Dragon Magazine from 1999 to 2002. He's worked on a number of TTRPGs, including for TSR, Mayfair Games, West End Games, and more. And you can see two tweets here. Chris Perkins says he is on Twitter. There's his Twitter account, Winninger R. Heads up the current D&D RPG team. His official title is Flumpmeister. And both Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins report to him and adore him. So say nice things so be nice when you say hi. And then somebody had said, where does that leave Mike Mearls? I miss him. And Crawford said he no longer works on the tabletop RPG team and hasn't since sometime last year. And this was only 2 days ago at this point. That explains why Mearls' Twitch shows, like the Mike Mearls Happy Fun Hour, have disappeared. Although he's made a couple of retweets since. His last tweet on Twitter was February 13th, 2019. He still works at WotC on the D&D brand in some capacity, but not the tabletop RPG itself. He did an interview about Baldur's Gate on Polygon last year. Winninger introduced himself in the latest issue 31 of Dragon Plus and says, I'm Ray Winninger, and I'm the new executive producer in charge of D&D Studio at Wizards of the Coast. In just a few months on the job, I've already been impressed by the skills and passion of the designers, artists, editors, and production staff who bring you your terrific D&D products. They're a uniquely talented group, and it's an honor to work alongside them. Pull up his Wikipedia page. He worked for TSR in the 80s and early 90s, so he's been with D&D for a while, whether that's for better or worse, who knows. And then it shows a couple of the other things. Again, he worked, took over the RPG review column from Chris Pramis, who I believe is now head of Green Ronin Publishing. He wrote the Dungeon Craft column in Dragon Magazine, as we said, and later became a senior platform strategist at Microsoft. So what does this mean? Well, first of all, Mike Mearls is out. So I'm sure that had something to do with the whole Zach S fiasco. I'm not going to go into that on the channel, but it happened and Mearls was tied to it. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened, is that he was slowly phased out, and that perhaps this is just an acceptable amount of time to hire a replacement so that people aren't worried about what happened with that and thinking that they're just like firing him over that and replacing him with somebody else. But yeah, Mearls has pretty much gone dark since, they said, basically about February of 2019. He's been pretty much off of social media, not doing anything, and now he no longer works on the RPG for D&D 5e. I mean, say what you will about the guy and whether or not he should have said or not said things that he did. He did help usher in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, which is, design-wise and obviously popularity-wise, one of the most, if not the most popular version of Dungeons & Dragons. So what does Ray Winninger mean as him being the new head of D&D? Well, I mean, it honestly may just be they're filling a role with someone who is active and can take that role and do new things with the brand, possibly. He may just continue doing status quo as it has been. New books will come out as they do in the same release cadence that they have. He may switch that up and decide, hey, let's do more books. Or, you know, what I've heard people talking about is maybe is this the heralding of a new edition? Is this 6th edition Dungeons & Dragons? We've got a new head at the team. The books have been out for 5 years. Are we doing now a 6th edition launch? I don't think so. First of all, I don't think you want to go wholly new edition at this point. 5e is super popular. Things are still getting legs underneath them with the DMs Guild and all this other kind of stuff. I don't think there's a reason to do a 6th edition. The changing of the guard at the high levels at Wizards could mean something new happening to the game. Maybe certain things will be changed if he's got a new aspect. And I don't know how much actual creative control he has over everything. But if we are going to see something like a 5.5e, which I still am very much in favor of, this may be the time that we do it. I don't know. I'm curious what your thoughts are, though. Leave them in the comments. Please let me know what you think about Ray being the new leader, kind of head of the Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons team. Do you think it means something? Do you guys have any like stories or things you know about Ray Winninger specifically that can help to inform me for future videos as we discuss this? Or I guess, and what do you think? Do you think this is good? This is bad? Obviously, they knew they needed to change the leadership around, so they did. Um, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about a 5.5e and the fact that the release cadence has been so slow. You don't have to really rebuy a ton of books. But in my mind, if you are going to do a 5.5e, what you do is you take all of the subclasses and all of the races that were printed in Xanathars, Volos, and Mordenkainen's, compile them all into one book called the 5.5e Player's Handbook. It'll be a little bit of a bigger book, but it'd have everything that's in the Player's Handbook, along with fixes and everything else, plus all the new races, all of the newer subclasses, Ravnica and all those other ones, as well as all the additional spells that were added, compiled into one thicker tome that is the Player's Handbook 5.5. Same thing with the monsters contained in all of the other books, Volos and Mordenkainen's. Those are all compiled with the existing 5th edition monster manual, and that becomes the 5.5e version. And all the magic items and new features and concepts and things that were introduced in Xanathars and other books get added into the DMG, and that's the 5.5e DMG. So if you were to do it that way, then you'd have those 3 books, which would basically give you everything that you had in 5th edition that you bought in purchasing 3 individual books that would be updated, current, fixed, and compiled together. The only thing that they would potentially need to reprint, or if they're smart, just release a free errata PDF of how you update all of the pre-written adventures to 5.5e, and then worry about releasing new books for 5.5e going forward. That's how I do it if I was in charge, and I think that would make the most sense. And honestly, it might drive up the sales a little bit. I don't know. Sales have been statistically good as far as Hasbro is concerned, so that's probably why we won't see any change, because there hasn't been a dip in sales. Things have actually only been a positive profit increase for Wizards of the Coast and the D&D team, but who knows. That's enough out of me, though. Thank you, everyone over on Patreon. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all